Floyd's Mayhem Garage here. Well, the Coronet was too quiet. So, I'm in the process of fixing that. Let's take a look at her. So, I decided the Coronet was far too quiet. So, I cut the exhaust off. And of course my GoPro was dead, so it's been charging, so I'm just now starting to film this and catch you up to date as to, catch you up to speed as to where I'm at. So, interestingly, I cut the exhaust off, and as you always do, I had to fire it up and listen to it. It is not nearly as loud as I would expect it to be for straight off the exhaust manifolds. Granted, it is still loud, but it just... And I guess that's the difference of that big block sound. It just doesn't have that big block sound. With that being said, I cut the crossover pipe off. And so what I'm doing is I'm just connecting into that and connecting into there. I'm using the existing down pipes. And then where I basically cut this off, instead of going underneath to the passenger side, I just turned it back and now it's coming straight back. So now it'll have dual exhaust as well with the louder, bigger exhaust as well. So I bought some adapters to adapt down to this. I thought it was 2-inch, but it's even smaller than 2-inch. It's like 1 3/4 inches or something. So I ended up actually welding in a bushing basically to take up the extra space and then clamped it on. So I clamped the down pipes on, and they actually look pretty good. So they tightened up nicely. I think that'll work. I'll probably end up clamping this next portion of exhaust on as well, so make it to where I can sort of service it or take it apart if I need to, because I don't know that it's going to be perfect. But and then as well as pretty interesting, I was going to go with 2 1/4 because I didn't think it needed anything really much bigger, but we've worked on enough stuff around here, me and my dad. My dad built exhaust for his car, and then he also built exhaust for my sister's truck. And of course air compressor's running now. But we have a ton of 2.5-inch exhaust laying around, so I opted to go with 2.5, and I also have some mufflers sitting around, so let me grab those real quick. Bam! So these are the mufflers my dad bought for Anna's truck, that Ford. And these ended up being too big to kind of fit up where he was wanting to put them. The transfer case in that made it really hard to run exhaust in that, so he ended up going to the smaller glass packs type muffler. And so I had these laying around, you know. Tried mocking up the one, just couldn't get it to fit, so those are now sitting around. So these are basically the same mufflers that I have on the General Mayhem. So should sound pretty good while still not being obnoxiously loud. So, but it'll have a good rumble to it at least. I'm not too sure how the idle sounds, or is gonna sound, because like I said, this thing, even with it just coming right off the manifolds now, it sounds pretty good, but that idle, it sounds weak. And granted, it is just a 318, but it's 318 poly, which is a little bit better, I guess, but it still just sounds weak. So I guess instead of telling you about how it sounds, let me just show you how it sounds, because it's kind of silly. It's got a good rev to it, but the idle it almost sounds like when Roadkill first fired up the General Mayhem with just open headers. Freiberger was talking about it sounding weak. That's this. And I'm not sure how that sounds over camera, but maybe it sounds different in here than it does out here. used to it. But so like I said, I am curious to see how these mufflers make the idle sound. Hopefully it's got that good, you know, kind of lopey, you know, that idle sound where you can just idle into a, you know, like a gas station and you get people's attention that way. You know, they're kind of looking over, you know. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. Oh, here. Alright, got a light down here, so hopefully you can see alright. But downpipes, this is where I'm at so far. So, driver's side over there is that sort of 90 coming off. Passenger side's this 45. And so, I bought some bushings here. Or, I don't know if you call them bushing, reducers, there we go. To go from that 2 1/4 or 2 inch, whatever it is, to this 2 1/2. And then, yeah, just clamped it, and then from there on up is just the existing downpipe for the 318 poly. So to make this much easier, since I'm really not going for a performance aspect, I'm just wanting a sound aspect. This will definitely help out the sound. And so at this point now, I can work my way back. You know, I gotta go, your little cutouts for the cross member here. I think I'm gonna clamp them here as well. And then run them back, and I would like to go all the way out the back. So I was kind of playing with the idea of coming out the side or just dumping it, but I do also like how quiet this thing is. You know, as much as I love how quiet it is, I hate how quiet it is too. It's just it's parts of it are awesome. It's just such a cruiser, but then, you know, it's an old. At this point, it's still an old muscle car, even though it's a 4-door. It's got to have some sound, you know. So, and then of course it's a Floyd mobile, so it can't be quiet. So I couldn't resist. I had to hack the exhaust off and do exactly what I'm doing here. So yeah, I think basically I gotta make some squiggles. You know, make a snake or an S or whatever. Get through your cross member cut out here. And then it's basically straight back from that point. Go to probably a slight angle to go to the mufflers, so the mufflers sit at a little bit of an angle, or I'll see what kind of room I have back there. So, because I do know that might decide for me as well what I'm going to do for the exhaust of running out the back, or, you know, dumping it or coming out before the rear tire. The proper mufflers on these, which are the ones that I bought for my General Mayhem, they are a center inlet and offset outlet. And these ones are center. So that may cause problems trying to get this to fit up and over the axle, where, you know, even though it's only, what is that, 3 inches difference, trying to get all that lined up to go up and over the axle and pass the shocks and clear everything can be a problem as well. So potentially I might just end up just dumping these, and then maybe if I can't get that to work, you know, maybe I'll have to actually buy different mufflers for it with that offset and then continue out the back. But I'll see what I can do with this. I'm definitely just going to piece together using the parts that I have laying around, so. And just mocked up here to see how it sounds. I couldn't resist or couldn't wait, whatever, but so I just got a bunch of pipe crammed on there. Started building out the passenger side here. Got most of that pipe coming back. Still got to work on the driver's side. And it's getting late, so this will be a multiple day project, but I wanted to see how it sounds, and I'm actually quite happy. That's the bigger pipe, and then those mufflers definitely gives it a little bit better idle. Gives it that little bit of, you can hear the like hollowness inside the exhaust, which I love how that sounds, you know. And that is just such a good sound. And then of course coming out the back, it's got that, you know, good idle, but it's not loud either. So I think I'm happy. These are great mufflers, these dual chamber mufflers. They've got just basically 2 baffles in them, is all that. It just redirects the exhaust. They don't flow very well, I imagine, doing that, but they got a great sound. But again, you know, there's no fiberglass or any, they don't have to make any real sharp angles. It just goes around 2 baffles, so they probably flow pretty well still. I don't know, but I like them. And of course, you know, performance-wise, that is not what I'm going after on this. I'm going purely for sound. And so far, with what I hear, I nailed it. So, yeah, well, I'll keep going on this, and I'll have to get some, I'm excited to go for a drive. Actually hear this thing from a stop sign for once. So I'll go get, once I'm finished up with this, I'll go get some driving video with it, maybe some idling in, you know, parking lot, or, you know, just get some running video of it at least, you know. And all right, ended up going a slightly different route on the exhaust. Turns out with the pieces and parts I have, I couldn't, let's say easily at least, make it up and over the axle. So looks like I had 245s and a 90, you know, kind of snake it up through there. Not even close to happening. I would have to do almost, you know, 490s and do some kind of sneaking up through there, do some sort of oddball stuff there. So I scrapped all of that and went ahead, still put the mufflers in here. I don't know, you guys probably can't see anything, can you? And let there be light. Okay. Anyways, so now we got the pipe up there, coming back off the manifolds into these dual chamber mufflers, and then just dumped before the axle here. And yeah, turns out trying to sneak it up through here, because of the back of this car being designed a little bit different than like the 68 to like 70 B bodies, you know, the trunk's got a drop in it for a spare tire, the fuel tank's mounted further up, and it's wider on the sides here. So I had pretty much, with the pieces and parts that I had no room to go up and over. So that still may happen someday, or I kind of toyed with the idea of turning it out and coming before the rear tire here, or, you know, out before it, but I decided just to keep it simple and just did some turn downs. So as of now, that's what I have. It may or may not change later, but yeah, I think it's like 38 degrees in here, so nice and cold. So I think we might be able to do a cold start on this thing and see how it sounds. So let's take a listen, I suppose, eh? I don't know how that sounds on camera, but it sounds pretty good in person. And awesomely enough, you know, it's not obnoxiously loud, but it does definitely have a good idle to it now, and it's got a pretty good rev. So of course I was working on this yesterday, we're on to today now, and so I haven't actually really heard it. It was pretty late last night when I finished up, so today it's a bit earlier, so I can actually go out and drive this thing as well and get some good sounds out of it. Oh yeah, we're still pretty cold, but not bad. see there, but it doesn't sound too bad. I was hoping it wouldn't be too loud, and I think we're a good noise right now. Window's down here. How's the sound with the window up? Got the heater on, and it's still not loud at all in here. Get on it, downshift, and that's not bad at all. Oh, this thing's still a cruiser. Oh, this is great. It sounds good, but it's definitely not loud, which is awesome. Oh man, nice and long-winded too. Well, it's definitely dark out here. Yeah, the old Coronet sounds pretty good. So I think I'm happy with it. It sounds good. It's got a good idle to it. It's got a good rumble when you get on the throttle, but it's not too loud. And it is a little louder in the sort of cab area than I would like. But you know, having run it out the back would have made it quieter inside, definitely. But for what I have, for the parts that I had laying around, I'm happy with it. And of course, you know, exhaust is one of those things that's relatively easy to change, so I'm sure this won't be the last installment of it. But I suppose that'll finish up this video at least. And I'm definitely gonna have to film some more with the Coronet. I think this thing might be around for a while. We'll see what happens with it. And of course, next time you'll see it, future episode or whatnot, and we'll catch you then. Take it easy, y'all.